Feedback is considered a key ingredient in the learning process. In this video, we will examine how we can structure the process to maximize its impact on learning. There's a lot of conflicting research on the efficacy of feedback. Some studies show that the process is key in producing major gains in student skills, while others seem to show less impact. This is likely due to the wide variation in how feedback is designed and delivered in the various studies. However, despite the lack of clarity on this matter, there's a general agreement that feedback is important and that it is more effective when it is frequent and descriptive. In effective feedback, a student's work is compared against the instructions, an exemplar, or some type of evaluation tool. Traditionally, feedback is conducted by the student themselves, a peer, or an educator. Each of these models have their strengths and challenges. Self-evaluation and feedback is often ineffective for developing learners. Studies have shown that the lower a person's mastery of a skill set is, the more they appear to overestimate their achievement. This observation has led to the hypothesis that metacognition skills are required to evaluate one's work and is the result of skill development linked to the task. Thus, self-evaluation is very effective for students who are already showing proficiency in a skill set, but ineffective for students who are developing the skill. Peer feedback is also problematic for this very reason. In order to accurately evaluate a peer, a student must be able to recognize and articulate the expected skill set. They would need to have strong analytical and communication skills in order for their feedback to be accurate and understandable by another student. Additionally, students are usually younger than educators and are therefore prone to allow their peer biases and perceptions of adult opinions to influence their evaluations. Remaining objective during evaluation takes years of practice to develop. Not surprisingly, teacher feedback is often the most valuable method for learners. A teacher is already proficient in the skill set associated with the task and has the most accurate mental image of the expectations. After all, it's the teacher who likely designed or at least approved the expectations, and it is the teacher who makes the final evaluation. But a teacher's time is limited, and so they are unable to engage in very frequent or in-depth feedback sessions. However, in terms of benefits, self and peer feedbacks are actively done by students, and so the process itself is a skill-building activity and thus very desirable. Conversely, teacher feedback involves the teacher in the process of task execution by the student, and thereby it allows the teacher to conduct diagnostic assessments on the learners while they do assessments. So the question is, how do we redesign the model of feedback so that it preserves the benefit of all three former models while avoiding the downfalls of them? One possibility is to shift to collaborative feedback. In collaborative feedback, a student's work is selected for critical feedback. The teacher and the student and the class engages in a discussion about the work. Peers focus on evaluating the work for execution of the instructions, making recommendations for improving clarity, correcting errors, and making better organization. The students whose work is on display respond to the feedback and orally clarifies their thinking to their peers. The teacher guides the process and provides a general evaluation of the work as it stands and tells them what would be expected for an improved mark. Thus, collaborative feedback is generally speaking an entire class discussion focused on a single student's work. However, it should be noted that this model requires a trusting and supportive classroom culture. So at first, the process should only use subjects who are confident and willing to volunteer to have their work displayed and discussed in front of the classroom while you build the classroom culture. To illustrate this process, we will look at a sample question from a grade 9 assignment that underwent collaborative feedback. In the assignment, students were asked to describe an atom using a labeled illustration, a data table about the subatomic particles, and a written paragraph. The image on the screen records the original illustration from a student's assignment, a point form record of the feedback that was given to them through collaborative feedback, and their final submission. The final product of the students demonstrates a significant improvement in the quality and is clearly illustrating their ability to use the feedback. More importantly, the oral discussion that occurred during this feedback flushed out a misconception from the student and helped other students who were struggling to articulate the atomic structure. Links to my files associated with this task are in the video description below. Feel free to download and use them. If you are an educator, please consider subscribing to this channel. My hope is that my videos are useful to you and help me to consolidate and reflect on my practice. If you are an educator, good luck on your journey. We are all in this together.